to be cut off from that protection really suddenly can be hard and feel violent. But there's always the repair that can happen, right? And there is this ability, I believe, to mend it out in the quantum, like in this energetic field that I keep talking about.
Yes.
When you get there, you can get there with your child, you can get there with this placenta, and you can choose how you want to start mending it, right? How does it look like for you to begin to mend that energetic connection? And like perhaps when you get in there and you start to connect, you see this like flailing half cord.
Hello, and welcome, beautiful soul sisters. I am so happy that you're here. This is a space where we remember what it means to be wild women walking upon this earth, exploring that which is often unseen and unspoken. Together, we practice using our voices in the ancient ritual of storytelling, connecting about all that unites us as we share our stories of birth, life, and death. Today is a beautiful, sunny Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. The moon is currently waxing, moving towards a full moon in Scorpio on Tuesday, April 23rd. If you would like to see our faces as we share today, you can watch this episode on Earthing Nova YouTube. I am super excited to have Karlin Foxx here with me today as we talk about all things placenta.
Yay, placenta.
Yay. I would love for you to take a moment and introduce yourself in whatever way feels good to you here today.
Yeah, so I'm Karlin, and I am the owner and creatrix of Birth Keeping. And I have been working with women in birth, postpartum, even within pregnancy, for just over 3 years now. And my calling has definitely been changing over the years, but really it continues to reside with women and how we make the choices that we do, and diving deeper into our intuition and accessing our higher selves.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm really in the phase of placenta work right now and just diving into the energetics of that.
Yes, I love that. I loved when I was asking about Lotus Births that you have this beautiful resource available, and was grateful for the way that you wrote and spoke about it.
Thank you.
And the birth that I most recently attended, they chose Lotus Birth. And I loved witnessing how they moved through that and the way that they enjoyed it. And also when I was visiting after baby's been on her side for over a week now. She was fussy one night, and the dad thought, maybe we should bring the placenta back in. It was in another room, and they brought the placenta back into the room, and she calmed right down and went to sleep.
Wow. That is so awesome.
Yes.
Full body chills thinking about that.
So we'll get into what a Lotus Birth is later if you don't know what it is, but I would love to. What do you know about your own placenta and what happened to your placenta when you were birthed from your mother?
When I was birthed from my mother, I have what I like to call the primal wound around that, because it is the first wound that I received, and when I have guided myself into tapping into that energy and reclaiming what was there for me, I have this image of like her being like wheeled out on this cart. And by her, I mean the placenta, right?
Yes.
I like to reference her in terms of her, I guess, for now.
Yeah. Many cultures call her the first mother. So that would make sense that would be her.
Yeah.
Placenta would be a her.
Yeah, I love to reference placentas as that, as her. And so I have this imagery, and so that's kind of what I hold in my mind as I tap into her and our story and how yeah, I was immediately separated from her. Immediately the cord was clamped and cut, and she was wheeled away. And that was it. Yeah, and I also know that the separation from my mother was also there. So what I've come to know from like a really unmedicated vaginal birth from my mother is still just a lot of violence and separation. Yeah. Right. And that shows up for me in a lot of different ways. The messages that I received around that had to do with like my anger is one of them. I have this primal anger and it is a baseline for myself. And it's just like one of the behavioral patterns that I've noticed that come from that, right? Like there's this anger around that separation that didn't need to occur. And also another one for me is just like it was the constant looking for love, right? And searching for this love and this acceptance outside of myself. Searching for it, looking for this connection and this ability to understand what love was and the ability to know where it was safe and what love actually was, right? This giving and receiving. And those lessons are really carried in the placenta and in that umbilical cord. The first mother, the transference of life comes from her and from that umbilical cord. And so understanding that when that's cut, right, too soon, very quickly, very violently, I would say, there just becomes this inability, not necessarily an inability, because I believe that you can reclaim, right? I believe that there is a reclamation in this, but there is, yeah, like I would say that there's definitely the severance, right? And the separation and this, I would say like a psychological pattern that is given to you, a code that is then handed to you that is not being able to understand what giving and receiving is, right? What is safety? What is love? Having this exchange, right? That is the first relationship is kind of taken from. Yeah. And so we take a long time as individuals, and for myself in particular, to understand what that actually looks like. What is a healthy, healed, whole version of that? And I feel like it's a lifetime of healing. Yes. Yeah.
I imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, did you have this awareness about placentas and your placenta growing up, or when did like the impact and the like reverence for our placentas for the first mother come into your awareness?
Yeah. So really fascinating story because the reverence for birth came when I met my husband and I decided, I just knew that I wanted to have children. Yeah. That I wanted to be a mother.
Yes.
So that like reverence for life came through. But I will say that I had heard about Lotus Birth. I had like this general understanding that it was a good thing, but I didn't fully understand why. And I actually went through the birth of my daughter, the free birth of
Yes.
my daughter, and our Lotus birth, her Lotus birth, and the burial of that placenta 9 months later.
Yes.
Before I came to understand that there was like really big energetic implications to what we had just gone through.
Yes.
Right.
Like you were choosing it, knowing, sensing inside that that was for you and that was what you wanted and was the right choice. And yet, and we can know those right choices without knowing all the things.
Right.
Sort of what you're speaking to.
Yeah, totally. Like just following my intuition.
Yes.
Right. And that is a little bit of what my pregnancy looked like. And the free birth and like choosing to be outside of the system meant this reorientation to myself. Right. It meant this choice to learn more about myself and my intuition and to listen.
Yes.
And so that ability to hear got better and better and better. And so when I looked back and I was really called into this placenta, and I'd say the big calling was this is the hill I will die on. Okay. It has to do with the freezer. Okay. And the pattern is that we save it, right? We are called to saving this placenta. And maybe we do the Lotus birth and then we tuck it into the freezer. And there was something that just like triggered me one day where I was like, we need to stop putting it in the freezer. What are we doing? Why are we freezing it?
Yes.
It doesn't innately make sense to me. That isn't within my intuition is to go freeze it. And so I was like really curious why I was feeling that. Like there's like more here. There's more here.
Yes. Before we get deeper, for people who are sitting here and they're still wondering what is a Lotus birth, I mean, sort of like, you know, danced around it a little bit, but could you share with people really directly what a Lotus birth is? Absolutely.
So a Lotus birth is when after the emergence of the baby and after the emergence of the placenta, everything stays intact. Yes. So the choice to not impose anybody's will onto the beautiful trifecta that is the placenta, the umbilical cord, and the baby.
Yes, so they remain intact.
They remain intact. They remain connected. Yes. And the Lotus birth is the idea that they remain that way until they choose to become separated. So usually the cord will dry up. It will detach on its own from the umbilical area of your child and the navel, and and then it's done.
Yes. And so what did that, I know it can look ways of what people might add to the placenta or not, whether they use a bowl or I've seen a bag or what. Would you like to share about maybe your daughter's placenta and what you chose for that one? If you want to offer other possibilities.
I will just say I have an amazing free PDF that you can download.
Yes, I'll link it in the notes.
Perfect. That walks you through all of it. For my daughter and I chose to have the placenta in a bowl next to us. I mean, it has to be close because the attachment is still there, right? The connection exists.
Some cords are really long and some cords are much shorter. And so the distance you have to work with is,
And, there's a lot to it, which I really love. So I just added salt and herbs on top of the placenta and then just made sure to keep the umbilical cord exposed to air. And that was about it. We just kind of maneuvered around that connection, which now that I look back held such great importance. Again, like the choice to not impose my will onto that and onto that relationship and allowing my daughter to make that choice of when to come into this world on her own and to be vulnerable into the sea of energy now feels really powerful. And I think it is a testament to like who she is turning out to be as far as her nature and who she is, being able to make choices for herself.
Yes.
And yeah, maneuvering around that connection also made it really simple postpartum for the first 3 days. You know, there wasn't anybody, she wasn't being passed around, right? We weren't moving. We were cozy.
Where whenever you moved her, you were also moving her placenta.
Yeah, and once that cord dries, it's like it's so cool. It reminded me of like a rainbow bridge. It just like kind of bowed over from her to the placenta in this bowl.
Yes, it becomes quite hard.
Yeah, it does. And so too much movement or the wrong kind of movement can be really uncomfortable for her. And bringing her into the physical body isn't always the best thing when they're that little, right? They reside in these higher energy bodies and they're just letting their body do all this bodybuilding. So yeah, it was just like a really sacred time of our little family in bed and like me being able to rest and have her close. And yeah, it just created this protection and this really beautiful, easeful, and peaceful transition into this world that I really covet and I feel everyone deserves to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lotus Birth.
Yes. When did she choose to detach herself?
Yeah, probably around the third day, end of the third day. It just kind of like snapped off right at the base. Yeah. And then she had like a little bit of a little tail going there, like a little hard thing that came off like a couple days later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they separated and that was like it. I was like,
did you keep her close after that?
So
she lived.
I just kept adding to the bowl like salt and herbs if it started to smell at all. And she just lived on a shelf right above our changing table. She also kind of like, I think I moved over to the side, like bedside for a little bit and then over onto the changing table just above. And it felt like when I look back, she was just watching over us.
Yeah.
Allowing that integration to take place and yeah. It's like keeping us all under watch in this really like beautiful, innate, wise way. Yeah.
What a lovely experience.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for it. And that I heard the call and just listened. I thought maybe I would eat some of it. I thought maybe I'd be called to eat it, but no, none of that. We just kind of tucked it away. There wasn't a need for that.
For people who might be listening to us, I just thinking of questions people might have, like, did it smell? Like,
yeah, it started to smell. My husband was like, it's starting to reek. He's like, it's starting to smell. And I was like, okay, let's add some more salt and some more herbs. And so we just did that. That's what, and that was my solution.
Smell, right? Like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It just took care of everything. We just layered salt on top of it. More salt.
Yeah.
More salt. And then I threw in more herbs. I had a bunch from my garden. So that was really easy. And yeah, that was, I think that's the other thing, right? Like my intuitive sense of like, okay, it's just like meat that is like starting to go bad.
Yes.
And so it was just like add some more salt, cure it.
Yeah, the ones that I've been around, there isn't really a smell.
Yeah.
Either. Like, when there's enough salt and herbs there, it's just
yeah. And she sat on that shelf or at our altar or on the bedside for 9 months. There was about 9 months before I planned this like rite of passage ceremony and buried her in the backyard.
Tell me how that went.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
Your daughter there with her placenta.
Yeah, my daughter was there with the placenta. I learned a lot from this ceremony, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But yeah, so I like unearthed her from the like pounds of salt that she was under, and it was just like this hard, flat disc. You know, and it was covered in salt and herbs, and it was really powerful to just have that there in your hands, you know?
Yeah. Just speaking to it.
Yeah, it was really powerful. And also just like, it's really amazing that both can be there, right? That it can be this like really incredibly powerful thing. And then also like so subtle and just like so inconsequential. Like it's just like this thing, you know, like it just is. It's just a part of it. And so that was really lovely. And I invited a bunch of families from the community that had supported us at my blessing way and postpartum. And yeah, so they came and I decided to invite families. So it wasn't just the women, it was like our families and just being recognized and honored and seen and witnessed.
For the whole community to witness that.
Yeah, it was really beautiful because I think that's the first time that as a community we held like a circle where the women held the circle, but the families were there. The men were there. The children were there.
Yes.
It was really, yeah. Originally, I would have said family centered, but my friend and I have been talking about this a lot, and it's actually, it was mother centered.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the ability to hold this sacred space and still move with our families and our children coming and going and like still having these parts of ceremony. So I still got the closing of the bones. We sang songs. I like had written out these like the meaning of her name and some of the like really beautiful symbolism that I felt meant a lot to her story, to our story, to our family. And then I had like previously dug a hole that we then put the placenta, her, into the ground. And then I poured water over her, and that water had been from my bleed, which had been just like weeks before. My first bleed was actually like 3 months postpartum, so I've been bleeding for a while. But from the most recent bleed, I had a bunch of water saved, and we yeah, I poured that over her and then buried her, said my thanks, and then we just had like a great night of food and fire, and yeah,
what a way to celebrate and honor her.
Yeah, it was really lovely to sit down and just intentionally think about what I wanted, and like even the songs that I chose and the passages that I read just felt like really poignant and really perfect for that time. And again, just divinely guided by that energy.
Yes.
To sit down with it and commune with it and to understand her and the wisdom and the love that she had to impart for my daughter and for our family. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. And then it's on the land of our family, of our kin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt really special. And then I buried her under a lilac tree, which is really significant because my first free birth was an early birth at about 9 or 10 weeks, I think. And I had buried the remnants of that under a lilac tree at our at a rental property that we had been living in. So in giving that back to the earth and then finding another lilac tree to put it under just felt like a really full circle, beautiful connection. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So I did learn a lot from this. Yes. In that it's in my PDF. So you guys, rehydrating the cured placenta before burial is an integral part of burying. Okay. I will say this only because my placenta wasn't rehydrated. So I had just like flipped the disc into the earth, poured some water over and buried it. Okay. And I dug the hole based on the size of this cured placenta disc. Yeah. And it turns out that it rains a lot here. Yeah. And that the placenta rehydrated. She rehydrated a whole bunch, got real big in that hole, moved to the surface, and something definitely dug her up.
Consumed her, perhaps.
Yeah, so
the story continues.
The story continues. Wow. So she was buried on this land. There are remnants of her in the ground. Yes. But yeah, some wild animal that lives around here. So we have coyotes, we have bobcats. I've even seen weasels. So who knows? But some wild animal dug her up, ate her. And it was still like this full circle, right? At first I was like, great lesson learned for one. But also it's just like, it is still full circle, right? Giving her back to the earth was this really beautiful completion of birth and this really beautiful rite of passage for my family, for myself as a mother. And then just to understand that there's no real semblance of control, especially when you are giving back to the earth. It is then within the powers that be to make choices around that. And it's just really beautiful that it did come full circle. Still a part of the wild, some way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've spoken a little bit to the energetics of the placenta. I would love to hear more. And you have an offering that's going to be coming up maybe probably before this is published. We'll see. But I'll have some sort of a link to find it anyhow.
Perfect.
Tell me more about the energetics and your
so I held a workshop on the energetics of the placenta. And I reference it as the etheric womb. And the reason being is that when we are pregnant, when we're gestating our babies, like this one right here, we as mothers create this etheric womb. It's like this protective space for this child to grow and develop, free from the influences of the many different energetic fields that exist, right? The universal energy fields that we feel all around us, and then the psychic energy fields from the people, again, around us. And so the placenta has this beautiful transference of energy, and it is this really beautiful energy center. So the energy centers that we know or commonly know are the 7 chakras, right? So there's a beautiful book by Robin Lim called The Forgotten Chakra, which is all about the placenta. Yes. And whose work I found when I was like, why am I so upset with people freezing their placenta? Like, there has to be more to this. And so I had her book and I read it, and it's really beautiful. It's full of information. There's nothing about freezing it, which for me just has to do with what I've learned about the postpartum time, right? Which is warmth, which is creating roots, reorganizing and redistributing your energy centers in these new ways, reforming yourself. And so there's no part of that process in which cold and freezing resonates, especially with myself. So intuitively, we as women want it around. We just haven't had anybody else do it differently, right? Or we don't have any cultural practices around it other than it getting wheeled away in a hospital room, right? Yes. So there's a big reclamation happening. There's a shit ton of placentas in the deep freezer. And there's some crazy stories about them disappearing or them going bad or, like them getting tossed out. So
yeah, in like the waste of hospital waste bins.
Hospital waste bins, maybe. I think they sell them.
Yes, I know. No, yeah, that's even layer.
Yeah, there's a whole nother really fucked up layer of that.
Yes.
Yeah, twisted.
Yeah, them being taken. And women I know that like wanted to at least see their placenta and they don't even get to like explore and see the different sides, or let alone are they offered to keep it.
Right. Yeah, there's no offering there. There really is a battle that has to be fought and won in order to receive that which is yours and your child's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know that your daughter has returned. So
is she awake?
I don't so.
Yeah, I think we're good.
But do you want to?
No, she's napping. We can just keep talking for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So the etheric womb that we create as mothers is this protective aura, this protective filter for our children, for a child. When we birth, when the child emerges from our bodies, that disappears, it goes away, right? The consciousness that we were carrying with us moves into that child, and that protective etheric womb is said to leave, right? They no longer have that with them because they're no longer inside of us. My belief and like my understanding after witnessing so many births, after understanding and tapping into the energetics of this like really beautiful ancient wisdom, is that the placenta then takes over as the etheric womb. So the placenta is this transitional energy center that is providing the protective layer that your child needs to not be alone in a sea of energy. Right? It's creating this really peaceful, beautiful transition into a really like erratic, intense, energetic state of earth, right? Of this realm.
Yeah.
And so not choosing to sever that connection right away, and just like the physical aspect of allowing the transfer of the blood.
Yes.
All of this beautiful blood that needs to get into your child to live a vibrant life, to be a vibrant baby. That transference needs to happen.
Yes.
Allow it to.
Yes.
Buy as much time as you possibly can. And then the other part that I mentioned in this PDF that I put together was just like, just think about the energetics of who's cutting this cord if you're going to do it. Right? Like, who's making this choice? Who's imposing the will to create this severance? And like being really intentional about it. Not just doing what the hospital has always told us, which is like the father cuts the cord, right?
That always never made sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. No. Like that relationship is really sacred.
Yes. Before I knew about these Lotus Birth, for my son's birth, for example, I chose to be the one to cut the cord when I felt it was time, and I was the one who did the cutting.
I love that.
Intention and reverence and love.
Yeah. There are some things here that are really important. I love that. I love that there's intention, there's reverence, there's this conversation that you're having with your child. either in the physical or not. Yeah, maybe in the like in the etheric realm, you have this energetic conversation with him about what is.
Yes.
And so that cut doesn't mean as much, right? There is this, I think that there is a lot of regret or a lot of pain surrounding choices that we have made, right? When you hear these things, you're like, oh, I didn't do it right. Yeah, like I didn't do it right. And, you know, like my kid suffers because of it. And I think that remembering is healing. And like tapping into that energy, right? And when I say tapping into, I mean accessing it. I mean diving into the quantum, talking with it, communing with it. And in the workshop that I did, it was more about communing with yours, which is where we started, which was with mine. And understanding the codes that were given to me so that I can do it differently for my child, right? Or even just setting a template that is different than the one that I received, so that the one that she passes on and the one that she receives is a little bit more healed, a little bit more whole. And that is the important part to remember. Because when you think about it, like if you see, like when I witness the cutting of the cord, which I have in many instances after birth, there's a recoil that happens, right? From the child themselves. I see them cry a little bit. Yeah. And I see this and I see that. That happens. And it's just so natural because it's more than just like this physical thing that is happening. It's like this really big energetic piece, you know, and like to be cut off from that protection really suddenly can be hard and feel violent. But there's always the repair that can happen, right? And there is this ability, I believe, to mend it out in the quantum, like in this energetic field that I keep talking about. When you get there, you can get there with your child, you can get there with this placenta, and you can choose how you want to start mending it, right? How does it look like for you to begin to mend that energetic connection? And like perhaps when you get in there and you start to connect, you see this like flailing half cord coming out and it's expressing itself, right? Like it's hitting, it's erratic, it's like throwing these energies around everywhere. And you get the choice to like bring it back to center and reconnect. And how are you doing it? You know, what kind of light bodies are you bringing in? Are you using your hands? Are you doing something else to begin to heal that? And that's a little bit of what I walk through. I walk you through it in the Placenta Energetics workshop that I have. It's available to download and purchase through my website. Yeah, and it's just, we make the decisions to the best of our ability as mothers in the world that we're in. And for those that are even hearing this conversation, what a beautiful opportunity to begin to change it, right? And to remediate the past and not have to hold on to the regret and like hold on to this idea that this is the blueprint that your child will always have. No, there's this really big opportunity to adjust. And that's one of the beautiful gifts that we carry as women, right? Is this ability to rework and rewire and rebirth and continue to morph and change as we grow and bring our families along with us. Yeah.
And community.
Yeah. And as such, we all add to the greater communal knowledge web. Yeah.
Think of it as a web.
I love that. We're weaving a web.
Yes. Well, for women who are listening today and would love to follow you, find you, purchase your workshop, find your placenta Lotus Birth guide.
Yeah.
Please tell them where they can find you, and I'll also include links.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. So I'm boembirthkeeping.com, but you can also find me on Instagram at boem.birthkeeping. Those are great places to reach me. And I'm going to have a podcast coming out soon.
Do you have a name?
Yeah, the Boem Woman.
The Boem Woman. Great. So
yeah.
that's coming out. And if you're in the Western Washington area, you also do village prenatals.
I do. I
Tell
host
them when and where.
Yes. So I host a village prenatal once a month circle for all women, specifically designed for those who are pregnant or expecting, but we love women of all walks of life. And that is the last Saturday of every month in Kirkland. And it is just a really epic, beautiful in-person gathering. So if you're in the area, please come join. We would love to have you.
Yes. And can they sign up through your website?
They can. Great. Everything is accessible there.
Beautiful. So much for sharing this beautiful afternoon with me. It's been so fun to be with you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of The Heart of the Soul. You can support this podcast by donating to it using the PayPal or Venmo links found in the show notes below. If you have stories that you would like to share on my show, please send me an email through my website. I would love to hear from you. If you would like to work with me one-on-one, please check out my current offerings on birthingnova.love. If you're listening on Spotify, you can now send me a voice message through the link at the bottom of the show notes. Until next time, remember to be brave, be love, be wild, be you, and be the change that you seek for yourself and for the generations to come. Love you. Mwah.